Brought to you by...
Hey friends, here at ETF, I don't only watch scary movies. I've said this countless times before. I love horror for sure, far more than many other genres. However, a large amount of my time is spent watching films of a different variety. A turn your brain off type of genre that I enjoy immersing myself in from time to time to blow off steam and enjoy a rip-roaring, balls out, explosive experience that brings me to the edge of my fucking seat. I'm talking, of course, about the action movie. The action film, a staple of cinema that floods the landscape with gunfights, car chases, explosive destruction, mass casualties, murder, mayhem, and sweaty, muscle-bound heroes with massive chips on their shoulders. Throughout the years, we have seen the same basic fast-paced stories played out again and again with new characters in new locations, and we keep coming back to relive the experiences and the thrills every time. And at some point, I just thought, why the hell am I not covering these masterpieces of adrenaline on the channel? Recently, someone actually asked me, why do you focus on horror? Why limit yourself when there is so much more out there to explore? So today, I'm branching out. And what better way than to start ETF's last action review than with The Last Action Hero.
The Last Action Hero. The big ticket for '93.
Last Action Hero is a 1993 American fantasy action comedy film directed and produced by John McTiernan. Yes, the same guy who brought you Die Hard, and takes a satirical look at the action genre and all of the outrageous cliches that come along with it. The film is a star-studded affair that sees Arnold Schwarzenegger in the most self-aware performance of his entire career, as he plays Jack Slater, an over-exaggeration of every action hero that he has ever played throughout his infamous career. He is a fictitious LA police officer with a blunt flair for violence and warrant acts of destruction, who leads a franchise of outrageous action films. The film was produced by Columbia Pictures, and as I said, directed by John McTiernan, known primarily for his work on films like Die Hard and Predator. The concept of Last Action Hero originated in a screenplay by Zach Penn and Adam Leff, which was later reworked by Shane Black, the renowned screenwriter of films like Lethal Weapon and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. The script was initially titled Extremely Violent, which is actually quite fitting. The film showcases a mix of real-world settings and fictional worlds within the movie. The production design, led by Eugenio Zanetti, aimed to create a stark contrast between the gritty world and the exaggerated, fantastical nature of action films. This contrast helps emphasize the thematic elements of the story. The film was released on June 18, 1993. Despite high expectations and a significant marketing campaign, Last Action Hero received mixed reviews from critics, and experienced disappointing box office results. It struggled to find its audience, partly due to competition from other major summer releases at that time. However, the film has since gained a cult following over the years. Following the lukewarm response, certain scenes were re-edited for its home video release, to improve pacing and address some criticisms. These changes were made in an attempt to enhance the film's appeal and make it more accessible to viewers. The film itself follows Danny Madigan, who takes comfort in watching action movies featuring the indestructible Los Angeles cop Jack Slater. After being given a magic movie ticket by his friend and theater manager Nick, Danny is sucked into the screen and finds himself alongside Slater on the adventure of a lifetime. But when the evil fictional villain Benedict gets his hands on that ticket and enters the real world, Danny and Jack must follow him in an effort to bring him down. We actually open the film with the tragic finale of the latest Jack Slater movie that has been released, beginning in the character's fictional tragedy before transitioning into the real world, a crime-ridden area of New York, where Danny resides, escaping from the grime and grit of the city streets, and taking refuge in the comfort of an old theater, where he enjoys his favorite films. The main character of Danny is a highly relatable character to me, as he is me in a lot of ways. A kid obsessed with cinema who is escaping the harshness of reality with the stories he loves. His thing is action movies, mine just happens to be horror. But I am a huge action fan, so I can feel where he's coming from. He cuts class to hang out in his favorite run-down little theater and watch private screenings of his favorite films. He daydreams in class, creating fictional trailers for an action movie version of Hamlet starring Jack Slater. The theater, in many ways, is a character of its own. A run-down old Victorian building with ornate architecture. It's a place that is closing down and being bought up by the Lowe's Theater Company, likely to be modernized and forced to lose all of its charm. Within its walls works its keeper, Nick, played by veteran actor Robert Prosky, who gives Danny the golden ticket that once belonged to Harry fucking Houdini of all people, and transports him into the world of the film that he loves so much, allowing him the opportunity to live out the ultimate fantasy. The villain of the film is the henchman Benedict, played by the always incredible Charles Dance, who chews up the scenery here more than he does in every single episode of Game of Thrones. He plays this character as incredibly badass and hilariously witty. He also brings a sense of displeasure to his performance, like a character who is just utterly tired of being a number two, and a childlike sense of wonder once he enters the real world. I can't help but crack up whenever I watch the scene when he blows away the mechanic and waits for police to show up, yelling out into the night and exclaiming his crimes to the world with pride. You get to see how much pleasure he takes in the awful side of reality within this moment. Using only a single line of dialogue, we get a sense of how dangerous this character is supposed to be, as he tells Danny that he has killed people much smarter and far younger than him. The Jack Slater films within the narrative are crafted to be wildly over-the-top spectacles that help separate them from the drab and depressing reality of the real world. And by God, do I wish they were real films. Nearly every moment of outrageous action leads up to some of the most ridiculous sequences ever put to screen, complete with obnoxious kills, painfully bad puns, and an endless stream of explosions, all of which are played heavily for laughs. For fuck's sake, we watch a guy get killed when an explosion hurls a fucking ice cream cone into the back of his head. No, I am not shitting you. Every moment of this film is played satirically, even featuring various jokes that poke fun at the nature of action movies, their characters, background extras, and the laws of physics. They poke fun at everything, from 555 phone numbers to every girl being overly attractive for no fucking reason. We are given all of the basic things that we have come to expect from any great action movie. The badass, the unkillable hero, the overly pissed off desk sergeant, and mob villains who hire someone much more deadly than they are to do their bidding. One of the best scenes in the film showcases Jack and Danny going into a video store, so Danny can prove to him that he's in a movie. Here we get to see a cutout advertisement for an alternate universe version of Terminator 2, starring Sylvester Stallone. I have always dreamed that one day I could own this cutout for myself, because imagine what that fucking movie would have been. I picture Cobra on steroids. This film has it all. Gunfights, car chases, countless explosions, gorgeous babes, a slasher villain, a cartoon cat played by Danny fucking DeVito. Yeah, why the fuck not? It's flooded with small homages like the way that the Twilight Zone theme cues up on the television in the background at the exact moment that Benedict discovers the power of the ticket for the first time. But some of the funniest stuff about this one comes in the various small details that are scattered throughout that are so easy to miss. We have people walking by in outrageous outfits that make no fucking sense, women in armor and leather numbers, like another character from some other film just happened to pass through this scene. Fucking Humphrey Bogart appears in the background of the police station at one point. The film's climax chooses to flip the script in the best possible way, sending Jack and Danny back into the real world, forcing Jack to face his role as a fictional character head-on, and realize his vulnerability in this new reality. This climax interacts with the premiere of the newest Jack Slater film, allowing for a slew of cameo appearances from Jean-Claude Van Damme, Tom Noonan, Ian McKellen, Jim Belushi, Little Richard, and tons more. Looking back on the film now, I find it cool that during the opening there is this issue with the projection process that cuts off the ending of the film that Danny was watching at the time. Because later on, we get to watch these events through flashbacks that haunt Jack Slater, but also an alternate version of those events play out in the finale, as Danny finds himself at the mercy of the same killer. Honestly, what more could you ask for from this film? From a psychological perspective, yes, we are absolutely doing that for action films as well. Last Action Hero touches upon several themes and concepts that can be analyzed. The film delves into the concept of escapism, as Danny uses action movies as a means to cope with real-world challenges and find solace from his troubled life. This theme explores how individuals may turn to media or fantasy worlds to temporarily escape their problems, and the potential consequences of relying too heavily on such escapism. Danny's idolization of action heroes like Slater reflect the psychological phenomenon of hero worship. The film examines the impact of such identification on an individual's perception of reality and self-esteem. It raises questions about the psychological effects of idealizing media figures and the potential distortion of one's self-image. As Danny enters the world of Jack Slater, the boundaries between reality and fiction blur. This raises questions about how individuals perceive reality and differentiate between the real world and the constructed realities presented in films and other forms of media. It highlights the power of imagination and the potential for media to shape our perceptions. Throughout the film, both Danny and Jack experience personal growth and self-reflection. They confront their own limitations, vulnerabilities, and fears. This exploration of character development offers insights into the psychological aspects of self-discovery, resilience, and the process of maturation. The film also explores the influence of belief systems and how they can shape the individual's behavior and experiences. Danny's unwavering belief in the power of movies and his ability to make a difference drives the narrative. This theme examines the psychological aspects of belief, motivation, and the impact of perception on human actions. Visually, Last Action Hero employs a mix of practical effects and early CGI to bring the fictional worlds and larger-than-life action sequences to life. While some of the effects may feel dated by today's standards, they retain a certain charm and authenticity that adds to the film's nostalgic appeal. However, the film's ambitious nature occasionally leads to moments of tonal inconsistency and overindulgence. At times, it struggles to strike a balance between comedy, action, and deep thematic elements. The pacing may feel uneven, and certain scenes could have been tightened to maintain a more consistent flow. Despite these shortcomings, the film remains an intriguing and audacious cinematic experience that rewards those willing to embrace its self-awareness. It prompts viewers to question the boundaries between fantasy and reality, the power of imagination, and the influence of media on all of our lives. In retrospect, Last Action Hero has gained a devout following and serves as a reminder of film's ambition, clever humor, and its willingness to challenge conventional storytelling. While it may not have achieved mainstream success upon release, it deserves recognition for its audacity and its ability to entertain and provoke thought. If you're a fan of action movies and enjoy meta commentary, Last Action Hero is a nostalgic and engaging choice that warrants a revisit or maybe a first-time viewing. Last Action Hero is one of the most fun and entertaining action films that has ever been made, in my opinion. And I know so many people who have never fucking heard of it. It's a hilariously good time that is fun for the whole family, while still being something special to fans of the genre. It opens up its doors and allows for an exploration of action movie tropes in a way that no one has ever really explored before or since. I'm honestly surprised that more people don't try to bring us films like this more often. This one does have a much longer runtime than most action films, as there is so much to explore in this world that I honestly feel that having it be any shorter would have been fucking criminal. If this is a Schwarzenegger film that you haven't stumbled across throughout the years, I definitely recommend hunting it down, firing up some popcorn, and enjoying a wildly good time. Well, friends, that's going to be all for now. I hope you enjoyed this first Last Action review of Last Action Hero. What better way to start this new series? If you haven't yet seen this film, I highly recommend you take the time to seek it out. You won't be disappointed. I've put a link in the description on where you can find a copy of this film for your collection. Trust me, you're going to want to own this one. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to ETF over on YouTube if you haven't already. Tune in next time when we further explore the action genre. Until then, stay safe, keep kicking ass, and thanks for watching.